All right, Bug Group team, we're here to check in on our next task that you guys are doing on a daily basis, which is vacuuming, specifically vacuuming with a backpack vacuum. So we're here with our subject matter expert, Alex, who's going to help us talk through how to make sure we're doing it safely when we're using the backpack vacuum. So Alex, before we're going to get going with the vacuum, what do we need to do before we get started?
Well, firstly, we have to check the frame.
Okay, so we're checking the cord to make sure there's no frays all the way through it. Good. What else do we need to check?
And we see the plug.
Okay, yes, so we have to make sure it has all three prongs, the ground prong, which often gets broken off. Now, Bug Group team, if you find one that has a broken ground prong, don't use it. Contact your manager and let them know that it's been broken, and we can either get it fixed or get that cord replaced. All right, so we've checked the cord. What do we need to check on the vacuum before we get going?
Checking to clean the vacuum.
Okay, so we're checking to make sure the bag is clean. Very good. And a good rule of thumb is if that thing is more than 2/3 of the way full, we need to go ahead and empty it out before we get using it, because the more weight that builds up there, the harder it is to carry and the less suction that you're getting. And we also need to check the filter. All right, so we've checked the cord and we've checked the vacuum, so I think we're ready to get into it. So this is maybe the most important piece. Alex is going to show us how to put the vacuum on and wear it correctly. Okay. So you'll notice as he's putting it on, he's already got these straps adjusted for his use, and it's got the vacuum up nice and high on his back. We want to avoid these straps getting saggy and getting low on your back, because it's going to put stress on your lower back. So keeping it up high allows you to keep good posture. And the next important thing is to make sure we use both of the straps that are on the vacuum. The one that goes around the waist and then the one that goes up around the chest. And these are so important because they evenly distribute the weight of the backpack. So oftentimes as I'm traveling around, I'll see people who have the backpack and it's sagging down on their lower back and they don't have either one of these straps. And what's happening is it's pulling your body in the wrong direction and putting a lot of stress on our lower back that we don't need. And it really makes the backpack feel a lot heavier than it truly is. So really important, keep it up high, keep these straps nice and tight, and then make sure we strap it in both places. And then the last thing we want to talk about is, if you'll notice, this cord is extremely long that we are using. And that's because you have a lot of ground to cover. So with that in mind, make sure, and I'm sure Alex would affirm this, that once we get that thing plugged in, we're conscious of where we're cleaning. We don't want to be plugged in this room, this office for instance, and then walk across the hall and clean the next office. We want to make sure we move the plug to the next office, just in case any of our other teammates or someone else in this building would happen to walk by. We wouldn't want them to trip over that cord, or we wouldn't want ourselves to trip over it. So Alex, thanks for your help. We appreciate it, and we'll let you get back to work.
Thank you.
Vacuum safety tips. First, check the cord to make sure there are no frays and that the ground prongs are intact. Then, check your vacuum filter. If the bag is at least 2/3 full, you should change it before you start vacuuming. If you're using a backpack vacuum, make sure you wear it high on your back. Attach both the waist and the chest straps and make sure they're tight. Then, observe the length of the cord. Replug when necessary to avoid tripping.
All right, Bug Group team, on to the next floor care task that we are doing on a daily basis, and that's mopping. So we are here with our subject matter expert, Angelica, and she is going to show us how to mop safely. So if we are mopping, we're going to mop this area. What's the first thing we want to do? Make sure we have the equipment we want to have before we get going.
Well, you always want to make sure that you have your slip-resistant shoes on. And
that's right. And if you don't have some, luckily she has some of her own, and those are great. Those have been approved by her supervisor. If you don't have those, you can use the one that the Bug Group offers, which are covers that can go over your normal shoes, and your manager should make sure that these are in your J closets for you. What else would we need?
We need our wet floor signs.
That's right. We got to have a wet floor sign, maybe more than one, depending on the area we're doing. We got to make sure we keep our customers aware that we have a wet floor, as well as our other teammates, to make sure nobody's slipping and falling. So we've got the equipment. What next? If we were going to mop this room, what would be important for us to know?
Well, we would start from the back of the room and mop our way out of the room.
Okay, so starting in the back.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and start for us and show us And that would be great. So notice she's going to wring the mop out really well. And then start in that back left corner and work her way out of the room. Very good. And in doing this, this keeps her from ever having to walk back over the wet surface. And one other thing that you'll notice that she's doing really well is instead of using a twisting motion, you can see that she's using a rocking motion to pull the mop back and forth. Just like when we're lifting boxes or pulling trash, we want to avoid twisting when we can because that's an easy way to pull out our back. We want to make sure we're using our legs instead of our back. All right, very good. So we've got this thing mopped up. So my next question for you is, when we finish this room and we're all done, what are we going to do with this dirty mop and this bucket?
We're going to pour the content out, and we're going to wring our mop out, and then we're going to rinse the mop out and rinse the container out.
Okay, so make sure we rinse them out. A lot of times when I go into some of our J closets, somebody hasn't rinsed out the mop and it's just kind of just sitting there in the mop bucket, and that's what sometimes makes our closets have not such a great smell. So I'm glad you said that. Very important to rinse out the bucket and rinse out the mop thoroughly, and then we can hang it up so that it can dry out, air out, and we can turn the mop bucket upside down to rinse out and dry out really well as well. Well, thank you so much for showing us how to do it safely, and I hope to see you again soon.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mopping safety tips. First, wear slip-resistant shoes. If you don't have any, make sure you use a shoe cover. Ask your manager where these are if you can't find them. Then, place wet floor signs around the area. Place your mop in the bucket with the appropriate chemical. Wring it out, and then start mopping at the back of the room. This way, you avoid walking in the wet areas. While mopping, use a rocking motion instead of a twisting motion. This will help your back. When you're finished, wring out the mop, empty the bucket, and then rinse the bucket with water.